know I'm trying to get it together, but it just don't want to. I'm like, well, we're gonna have to figure these out. You can heal your wake up. Wake up and get shake up. For the time is coming. You had some food. You gotta realize you got work to do. You gotta wake up.
Wake up and get shake up. We now gotta know all these people. So we love tonight and roll. We gotta wake up. Wake up and get shake up. For the time is coming. He was my king, my baby, my virgin. I walk by his side with love. So the hour won't budge. Baby, I won't budge. No. He put us here to let us know we answered him. So all we gotta do is just go. For 400 years and no fish us. He's coming back for us. So we better tighten up. We better tighten up. It's almost that time for a wake up call. So we gotta keep our feelings somewhere and wake up. Wake up and get shake up. For the time you wanna know way. You know it's on you. You gotta realize we got work to do. We gotta wake up. Wake up and get shake up. For the time is coming. We must wake our people up in God's name. Wake them up, 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 up. We must wake our people up in God's name. Wake them up, 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 up. We must wake our people up in God's name. Wake them up, 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 up. We must wake our people up in God's name. Wake them up, 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 up. We must wake our people up in God's name. Wake them up, 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 up. It's my should be one more on there.
time, yeah. That's it. Unless y'all want me to do it again, but nah. All right, so who's coming up as our speaker?
I am.
All right, so everybody, let's please rise for our speaker or teacher that's going to close. You closing us out, right?
Yep.
Or our speaker, this teacher that's closing us out tonight. Our scholar, Micaiah Israel. Praise the mighty God.
Hallelujah. Right now.
Yep, it's still kind of low.
I did a first one.
Yeah, it's kind of low. That's it? It's usually a lot louder than that. Testing. All right, that's good. Shabbat Shalom family. Welcome back to our Sabbath class. I want to welcome our internet audience back. We may be seated as we continue on with our great lesson today. Praise Yah for the Shalom. Shalom family coming in. Praise Yah for our blessings and our songs that we had. Keep our spirits going.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Shalom. So I'm just going to continue on with the lesson that I started earlier, and I'll just get everybody caught up. So basically the sum of it was, the question was that we asked before lunch was, why did Yahweh create humans? And just figuring out what our purpose is here as a people. And if we could turn our scriptures back to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, we'll go ahead and answer that, and then we'll continue on in our lesson. Ecclesiastes 12, yes ma'am. We read a lot about a lot of great and patient people and what it means to be patient and what it means to wait on Yah. So we're just going to continue on. And Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, I'm going to start reading in the 13th verse. And it reads, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yah and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of man, the whole duty of man.
Right.
For Yah shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil." Hallelujah. So I'm thankful for Yahweh for giving us that understanding, because it's challenging on our day-to-day to try to figure out what our purpose is and why we are here and what we should be doing as a people. And it's a lot of devices that can be distracting to us, keeping us away from what our focus should be. And this here in Ecclesiastes just explained it to us that the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and to keep his commandments. And basically saying any and everything else that we do is extra. So one of the main things that we've been covering today in Ecclesiastes is vanity and vexation, and what that means and how that goes hand in hand in a lot of the things that we do. So we're going to continue in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. And as I was doing earlier, just reading through, and then I'll stop at certain points, and we'll go to different scriptures just to help bring some awareness and just to help kind of break down that script just a little bit further. Now again, while I'm doing the lesson, if anybody has any questions or comments or would like to add anything, please raise your hand and we'll make sure to get a microphone to you. So here in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, it reads, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which was planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rend, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak. So I'll pause here. So earlier, we kind of spoke on how it's a lot of things that'll happen and how it takes courage for a person to actually speak up and say whether something is right or wrong. But in the midst of that, when that person or those persons speak up and say this is right or wrong, it takes courage from a lot of other people to kind of second them. Because if it's only one person that says it's wrong, then that person will look like an outsider. So an example that I gave is when Moses was up on Mount Sinai, how Aaron made the calf out of gold for the people to praise. Now, I'm sure it wasn't all of Israel that was agreeing to him making this calf, but not enough people spoke up to prevent it from happening. And that's the issue. So I'll continue on. I'm going to pause. Let's turn our scriptures to Proverbs, the 28th chapter. And read this. Now, in a lot of what we've already read, this preacher is explaining how a lot of the tangible things that we wish for and a lot of the things that we hope for is vanity. And explaining how it's vanity. Because if the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and keep his commandments, then planting gardens and having silver and having gold and having all these other things are extra. Now, it's nothing wrong with hoping and praying for some of these things, but one comment that we had made earlier was, if we get and we receive all of the things that we pray and ask for, will we have any more room for Yah? And that's the thing that I think we should really sit and think about. If we ask for all of the riches, if we ask for a husband and a wife and a job and a car and all of these things, what will we need Yahweh for after we get all of these things? Proverbs 28, let's read the 28th verse. And it says, when the wicked rise, men hide themselves. But when they perish, the righteous increase. So again, if we're talking about people showing courage to stand up for the right thing, do we wait until the people have already been consumed by evil to stand up for what's right, or do we do it in the midst, right when it happens? It does take courage to stand up for what's right, but the power is in the numbers. So if we could all agree that something isn't right, and we can all come together and say that something isn't right, then we can all fight together for what's right. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes. The 9th verse. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? I have seen the travail which Yah hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that Yah hath maketh from the beginning to the end. And this was also a comment that Brother Kilaya made earlier on how it's a lot of things in the world that we just don't understand. It's beyond our understanding, and some things we're not supposed to know. And this is why we were just given a law, because we're just supposed to abide by what the law says. And it's some things we don't understand, or even some things that we don't agree to. But like we talked about with how this coincides with our relationship with our children, if we tell our child to do something, we're not waiting for them to say why. We're just expecting them to do it. And even if they don't understand why, we can explain, because it's something that Yahweh does to us. If we go in Genesis and we look at the law, when Yahweh talked about the 10 Commandments, in every part of the 10 Commandments, he said, you should do this or this is going to happen. We have to be the same way with our children. Again, speaking on our children earlier and how they're our future and how what we feed into them is going to represent and it's going to be a product of what our future withholds. So sharing this information with our children, not just saying don't do, but explaining why not to do, and explaining if you do what will come from that. Let's turn our scriptures to Job, the 5th chapter. And I'm just going to read one verse out of that. Now again, I am continuing on from a lesson that I started earlier. So if you all did not catch it, you can definitely go to YouTube and see it, because we have a lot of people here that aren't here now that put some great comments in there and touched on some great points to help with this understanding. Job, the 5th chapter. I'm going to start in the 3rd verse. And it reads, I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I curse his habitation. His children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Whose harvest the hungry eaten up, and taken it even out of the thorns, and the robbers swallowed up their substance. Although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doeth trouble spring out of the ground. Yet man is born unto trouble, as sparks fly upward. I will seek unto Yah, and unto Yah will I commit my cause, which doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number. Hallelujah. When we think about Job and some of the things that Job had to experience and the patience that he had to have, it's a very humbling thing to think about, because although we are experiencing things ourselves, some of the things that he had to go through are unimaginable to us. But the way that Yahweh saved him, and the way that Yahweh got him out of this, like it says here, marvelous and great things. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes and finish out the story. In verse 12, it reads, I know that there is no good in them, for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of his labor. It is the gift of Yah. I know that whatsoever doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And Elohim doeth it, that men should fear before him. That which hath been is now, and which is to be hath already been, and Yah requireth that which is past. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. I said in my heart, Elohim shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time, therefore, every purpose, and for every work. So earlier in the story, we read how this preacher is kind of going back and forth and saying how a lot of the things that we ask for, a lot of things that we obtain, they're vanity. And it can be vexing, because you ask for all of these things, you obtain all of these things, but all of these things require some type of responsibility from you. It requires some type of attention from you, and all of this can be whelming. And so you have to start to think, okay, what am I asking for these things for? How are these things going to be beneficial to my life? With the whole duty of man being to fear Yah and keep his commandments, after obtaining all of these things, are these things helping us to serve our purpose? It's a question we have to think about. I'm going to continue on. I said in my heart, Yah shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time, therefore a purpose, and for every work. I said in my heart concerning the estate
of the sons of man, that Yah might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of man befalleth beasts. Even one thing befalleth them, as one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all one breath, so that a man hath no preeminence above a beast, for all is vanity. All go unto one place. All are of dust, and all turn to dust again. So the point that we're making here is, yes, we were all born. Yes, we are all alive. We all came from dust, and this is where we should return. Now, Yahweh did tell us that we have dominion over these beasts and over these creatures, but do we feel that way sometimes? Some of us are terrified of animals, terrified of dogs. If a bear were to come up to you and you said, sit down, is that bear going to listen to you? Not at all. So you have to think, this is what was said to us, but this is the world that we're living in, because all of us are going to go back to the dirt. So what is our purpose? How do we obtain this life that we're trying to live? How is it that the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and keep his commandments? How is it that all of these things that we ask for and we obtain are vanity? Let's turn to Genesis, the 3rd chapter. If we recall the story of Adam and Eve, Adam came first. Yahweh formed him from the dust, and he breathed his breath into him, and he became a living soul. In Genesis, the 3rd chapter, I'm going to start in the 16th verse. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception in sorrow. Thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be unto thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now, right now in the story, this is right after Adam and Eve had eaten of the tree of life because they were deceived by the serpent. And this is where one of the curses of the issues between a husband and wife, where, as Elder Jackie always says, everybody want to be the boss. Now, Yahweh commanded that the husband is supposed to have dominion over his wife. But it's the issue that us as women have to just submit to the husband and say, you right, whatever you say. It's not a lot of women that I know that say, you right, whatever you say. A lot of women want to argue back and forth and say, well, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that I'm right. And it's definitely something that can be argued back and forth. But Yahweh said that the man is supposed to get the last word. But one thing that Yahweh did bless us with, right, is our softness, right? So we can get our way. We can help with the outcome of whatever it's going to be. But like they said earlier, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So in the midst of having to deal with sorrow, with conception, which is the issues with labor and the hard labor and all of the pain and things like that you go through, that's the woman having to suffer, while the man can just be like, okay, sorry to hear that. You know, they don't understand. They won't ever feel it. The man has their own issues that they have to deal with, but this isn't the one that Yahweh put on them. So because our desire is supposed to be unto our husband is supposed to rule over us, it takes a certain amount of humility to actually allow your husband to rule over you. Now again, I'm not, please, because I'm not married, so I need to hear it.
Shalom. I just want to back that up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, so that is what Scripture says, but it also gives things that the man is supposed to do in order for him to have that honor and that, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, okay. So it goes hand in hand. You want to comment? Please. No? It's not a debate. Again, we're just bringing awareness because we all want wives, we all want husbands, and y'all wouldn't know what he's doing. Now, yes, this is a curse that was put on us, but there are marriages that work out where the wife allows the husband to rule over her. You know, it works out. Now, the sound of it sounds like, boy, back, but it works for a lot of people in a way where they let, and like the elder said, in the cases where it worked, most likely that man is doing all that he's supposed to be doing to where she don't have an issue with submitting. She can just say, okay, honey, whatever you say, because of whatever it is that he's doing that's making her feel comfortable enough to say, you got this, we got this. But with this curse here being on a woman, you wouldn't think it's a curse, but it is. Your husband is supposed to rule over you. Now there's the great debate on, can we get the mic to the brother, please? There's this great debate on whether this is a man's world or this is a woman's world. It's y'all's world, right? So that just took care of that.
Which is a man.
But
Change that channel.
yeah,
That's what it is. Oh.
you can turn the mic off.
You might have to step back here because you right back the speaker.
Interfere.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
They got to turn that mic down.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I just want to say that when it happened in Genesis, it actually wasn't a curse. It just, the foundation wasn't being laid yet. And then after she did that, then the Most High went ahead and laid the foundation because she listened to the serpent. So he went ahead and laid the foundation that no more after this should you listen to anybody outside of your husband, but only your husband you're going to listen to. That's how, I ain't going to say it's how it should have been because everything happened how it was supposed to, but that's how it had to, that was the steps that it took for it to happen. She had to do that for him to set the order of how it was going to go. Now the curse is Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. That's the curse. When he said, as for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. So when he said, they that rule over you cause you to err and destroy the way of your path, those are the people, that's where everything becomes evil at, because the they who they talking about, the scripture is talking about, is the government that's ruling over us, who gave women equal rights and all this stuff that'll break up a household.
Right.
So once that became became part of it, then that's when it became a curse. The curse is women ruling over the man. The blessing is men ruling over his household. So it's not really a curse, but I can see how it looks like it is a curse, but really it's just a foundation that's being laid to set up the household of the man or the family.
Hallelujah, I agree. We as women are emotional, and I even understand in my own household how I think that I'm right a lot. And we as women, we are emotional, but men are more logical. And so when he's like, okay, I understand that, but you're putting all of these feelings and emotions into this to achieve this conclusion. But if you take out the emotion and you just put in the logic, then this is the conclusion. Usually it's two different conclusions that we come to. And usually he's right about it. Unfortunately, I'm like, Well, yeah, that's if you don't really care about how the person feels, and if you don't care about the feeling, if you don't put the emotions in, then yeah, that's right. But that's true. And it's however we were wired mentally. Yahweh knows all. I'm going to just say this. Yahweh knows all. He knows why things have to be the way that they are. He knows why things are like this, and he put it into place for a reason. Now, it's a matter of perception, of course, on whether it's a curse or not, but it's definitely more beneficial for you all to make the last decision. And it's beneficial for us as women, not selfishly saying, but selfishly saying, because when you make the last call, we're like, well, babe, this was your decision, and I was just seconding what you said, be it right or wrong. Now, I'm going to continue on in here, verse 17, so that we can see the flip side. It says, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. And so, what's interesting about this to me, just speaking on the dust part, we came from dust, we're going to return to dust. This was the situation that caused it to come to this point. But in the midst of thinking about the whole situation of Adam and Eve, and how the serpent was even able to talk to her, yeah, and to be able to bring her to this conclusion. You got a comment? No.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
no, I don't know if you got done though.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, this had to do with what Mike said, because it's so the word when we talk about ruling over your wife, that word rule is more aligned with the term manage. So
Right.
if you look at your job, and most jobs have what you call a manager.
Right.
And that manager's responsibility is for governing the affairs of either his department or whatever he's responsible for. That means he has to make decisions, and he makes those decisions for the betterment of his growth and productivity. So the way that he manages is different from the way that a king may rule. So the management is mostly when a person manages something, usually they're managing, like you manage your bills, you manage your home, you manage it for the betterment of the outcome. And when you're managing a woman, hopefully you're managing that woman for the betterment of your outcome. So when women hear that, they should look at that as almost like taking the perfect job. When you're dealing with a husband, that's why some husbands and some men can handle more than one wife, because they knew how to manage to bring the best out of those women. They knew how to allow those women to work together for the betterment of productivity, where some men are not meant for management. They may be only a supervisor. They don't have to deal with one, because that's all their temperament allows them to deal with.
Okay.
So when you look at what a man is able to do when he's able to deal with a woman, he's able to deal with her from the perspective of growth, of harmony, of productivity at the end of the day, because you want more of something. So that word, we use it a lot. Most women, I hope that our sisters will not use that term as maybe a king telling what to do. But you look at it as like a manager on the job. A manager on the job is going to make sure he's getting the best out of you. He's going to make sure you got everything you need to produce for him and basically for the company. And hopefully your husband over you will get the betterment out of you to produce for the home and ultimately the community. Praise God.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I can definitely thank you for that comment, for that perspective, because it definitely does help, again, with thinking of what the purpose and the job is of the man, and how beneficial it definitely is when we can have that sound judgment to help bring things into the right perspective. So let's go back to Ecclesiastes. We've already read that the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and to keep his commandments. in the midst of this book that we've been reading, we've been seeing how a lot of things, they say a lot of things are vain and vexation. There was one verse in in Ecclesiastes 2:26 that read, "For Yah giveth to a man that is good in his sight, wisdom, knowledge, and joy. But to the sinner he giveth travail, to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before Elohim. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit." And the conclusion that we came from that is, it's your perception on what's wisdom, what's knowledge, and what's joyful, because some of our people take joy in harming others. So we have to thank Yah that we have the level of consciousness that we do, where we can truly see what's right and what's wrong, and we know how to have good judgment when it comes to that. So let's go back to Ecclesiastes 3rd chapter and continue in the 21st verse. It reads, "Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to earth? Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him?" So once a man or a woman has put forth their labor and they're obtaining the greatness from the things that they've done, a thing that we talked about earlier is, after you die and you pass on, who's going to continue on with the legacy that you started? Who's going to make sure that everything that you started continues on in a good, positive way? Who's to say that whoever is to take on whatever you started isn't going to be an evil person or a wicked person that's going to take all of the things and turn it into something bad? But then we came to the conclusion again on how that shouldn't even be a part of your mindset. You should just be thankful for what you have, again, because you have what you have while you're living, but after that, you're going to pass on. But how it is still very important to try to obtain things that will be beneficial for your children as they get older. And once they become of age that they can take over. It's important for us to keep our children in mind, so that when it's their time, they don't have to start at the very, very, very bottom like we did. Now, a comment that Brother Mike had made earlier is how our ancestors, they pretty much were fed everything for free. Everything was just given to them. They didn't have to really work for anything to obtain anything. Everything was just given. They were already a part of the head. Now it's on the flip side. Now our ancestors didn't really leave a lot for us to keep us from being at the bottom. A lot of the things that they did kind of got us to where we are, to where now we're in not such good predicaments. And now we have to figure out from the very, very bottom of what it is that we're supposed to be doing. This information was given to our ancestors, and it was passed down a little bit, bits and pieces to us, but we don't really know who we are. We don't know where we're supposed to go or what we're supposed to do, but they did. And so, again, just thinking about what is our duty. If we did know who we are and we did know what we were supposed to be doing, would we be living the way that we're living now? Let's continue on in chapter 4 of Ecclesiastes. "So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comfort. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Wherefore I praise the dead, which are already dead, more than the living, which are yet alive. Yea, better is he than both they which have not yet been, who have not seen the evil works that is done under the sun. Again, I consider all travail and every right work, that for this a man is envied, of his neighbor. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. The fool foldeth his hands together and eateth his own flesh. Better is a handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. Then I returned and saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he that neither child nor brother, yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither saith he, for whom do I labor, and beareth my soul of good? This is also vanity, yea, it is a sore travail. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone, when he hath fallen, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, and they have heat, but how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and threefold cords is not quickly broken. Better is a poor and a wise child than an old and foolish king who will no more be astonished. For out of the prison he cometh to reign, whereas also he that is born in the kingdom becometh poor. I considered all the living which walk under the sun, with the second child that shall stand up in his stead. There is no end of all people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So earlier I had to ask myself, what is the meaning of vanity? And we had a few different answers for that. The one that I read was excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements. So, for example, if I just constantly praise myself, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, oh, I'm greater than, I look at myself as if I'm better than everyone else, and I treat everyone as if I'm better than anyone else. And another definition that Kelia gave was something that just has no value. And to the point to where it's still praised, it's still talked about, but it has no value. Things that look great and are super shiny, and you think it's all of this and that, but has no true benefit for you in your life. This is what a lot of this is. Back in Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter, in the 4th verse, it reads, I made me great works. I built me houses, I planted me vineyards, I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kinds of fruit. I made me pools of water to water there within the wood that bringeth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasures of the kings and of the prophets. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delight of Son of Man as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. So I was great, and increased more than that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. So he obtained all of these things, and then in verse 11 it said, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. So even if you obtain all of these things, what profit does it really bring to you? How is it truly beneficial to you in your life? If the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and keep his commandments, once you get that wife, once you get that husband, once you have these children, once you get this house and this car and all these things that you ask for, are you using these things to serve your purpose, which is to fear Yah and keep his commandments? If not, then it's vexation. Then it's vanity. Then it holds no purpose. Then it's all sweet for nothing. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes in the 5th chapter. And it reads, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of Yah, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Yah is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. So when you go to Yahweh, you can't go to Yahweh the same way you go to the people in your workplace, because he is way higher and way mightier than these people. And we have to keep this in mind and keep this into consideration. We always want to try to curse thinking that what we say is right or how we feel is right. But like it's reading here, let's not be like the fool and make this type of decision. Let's pause here and go to Proverbs, the 25th chapter, just to kind of double down on that. Proverbs is a book of wisdom and a book of lessons. Proverbs 20. I'm just going to read the 25th verse. It reads, is it a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vows to make inquiry? Is it a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy? Can we take a couple comments on that? I really want us to really understand the point that we're trying to make here. Because again, we read, be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before Yah. For Yah is in heaven, and thou art on earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. Yes, ma'am. Shalom.
What verse is that again?
So in Ecclesiastes, the 5th chapter, the 2nd verse, we read, and then we skipped over to Proverbs, the 20th chapter, the 25th verse. You want me to read it again? Can we turn it around for just a smidge? Okay. Proverbs, the 20th chapter, the 25th verse reads, is it a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vow to make inquiry?
Great job. Well, my comment is when you talk about being hasty with your words and speaking out, before you even know what's going on. I literally found myself in that situation for the past couple weeks because I've been in my feelings and I want things done my way, And when they're not going my way, I get upset and I'm like, why aren't things going my way? But I'm grateful for the Almighty for just taking me a step back and like, yo, you don't know what I got going on. So whatever you think it is, it may not even be. So you up here thinking this situation is going to go this way. You don't know if it's going to go this way. You don't know if it's going to go the way that you want it to go or the way that I see how it should go. So you need to just calm down and get out your feelings and really think about what you're about to say. So I have to, just take a step back and just thank the Almighty for putting it in me to not be rash when it comes to my words and not be haste to say things or react, because you know how we get upset with people and we send them a text message, oh, you da-da-da-da-da-da, and this and that and that. I wanted to do that so many times over this last couple of weeks, but I'm like, no, because I don't know if that's the situation. I don't know if this person is just legitimately busy. So let me just fall back, let me get my spirit together, because thinking about what this person is or is not doing, it's hurting me even more just to sit there and just be wondering when I could just sit and focus on myself and focus on where the Almighty is taking me instead of being rash and haste to hurt somebody else with my words. So just taking a step back and really thinking about what you want to say is very important, because your words actually do come back around. And I've learned recently that the Almighty hear my words, and what I speak comes back quickly. So because I just wanted to test it out real quick, just to see how awesome the Almighty is real quick. So I'm driving, and I see this car stuck on the side of the road, and it was kind of putting to get up the hill, and it was kind of late, so I was like, you know what, Almighty, just let that car just go and let them get to where they need to go. I was passing the car, so the car was, stalled, but I was passing it up. So I'm looking through my rearview mirror. Next thing you know, that car took off driving. And I was like, praise the mighty. I don't know if it was my words that helped that car go or what, but I spoke it and it actually happened. So that was letting me know that you need to be careful which words you choose, because you can let those words go, but you can't pull them back. And once you let those words out, it ain't no, oh, I wish I wouldn't have said that, or I didn't mean it that way, or whatever it is. So I just thank the Almighty for allowing me to start choosing my words more carefully and allowing me to speak more positivity, because even though I was upset at this person, I still withheld the negativity that I wanted to speak, because that was the adversary in me wanting to speak those harsh things. And the Almighty Spirit took over and allowed me not to speak those negative things, but just to reflect on myself to speak positive things. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you for that comment. I agree. It's very easy when you get into your feelings to start to curse other people. And we think in that moment that it's going to make us feel better, but we later find out that we have to eat those words. And it don't really taste too good. One thing that I hear people say is that it's like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die from it. It's not going to work out. If you drinking the poison, you're the one that's going to suffer from that. The more we trust in Yahweh more and trust in His word more and trust in what He say, the more relaxed we'll be about situations. And the more we'll step back and not get in Yahweh's way, because what we'll do is we'll say, oh, Yahweh, this person is wrong. I want you to fix it. And then as soon as Yahweh start going into motion and doing what He got to do to fix it, then we'll step in and be like, okay, Yahweh, I got it from here. Move over. Let me handle it. And Yahweh will step to the side and let you handle it. And then you'll soon find out that you don't have the ability to do it. Which is why we were supposed to give it to Him in the first place. But in the midst of giving something to Yah, that means you give it to Him and you don't speak on it and you let it be what it is. And you let Him do whatever it is that He has to do with it. Even if it seems like it's not working out in your favor, maybe it's not supposed to. I'm going to continue on here in Ecclesiastes, the 5th chapter. And then we're going to take some more comments and some testimonies in this week. Verse 3 in Ecclesiastes 5 reads, "For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto Yah, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed." And we all have some debts, especially with Yah, where we said, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. He's still waiting for us to hold up our agreement on saying we're going to do it. Verse 5 breaks it down even more. "Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that shouldest vow and not pay." Don't even say you're going to do it. If you know that it's a possibility that you're going to change your mind, or you're going to have to change your heart, or you're not going to show up, and it's something that Elder Alicia used to talk about all the time, don't even tell them maybe. Just tell them no. Don't say, "I'm going to think about it," because then their hope's going to be high that you're actually going to think about it, especially if you know in your heart you have no intentions on doing it. Don't just say, "No, I don't want to. I'm not going to." "Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should Elohim be angry at thy voice, and destroy the works of thy hands? For in my multitude of dreams and many words there are also divers vanities, but fear thou Elohim. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they." We talked about this a little bit earlier on how everybody that is in Yahweh's favor, all of the people are against. With Joseph, he was just loved, but hated by his brothers. Everything that he was doing was great, and the brothers was just like, "Why are y'all so obsessed with him? He ain't even all of that." But why be like this? Why be that person instead of just letting the people be great? Why be the one that wants to tear the person down? Why be the one that wants to take away the greatness of the person or take away the glory of the person? Why not be the one to help feed into the life of the person? Why be the one that throws the hatred? You got a comment? Can we get the mic up here? We already have oppressors. And now we are our own oppressors. As if our oppressors wasn't doing a good enough job. Yeah, we definitely do it better.
Yeah. Proverbs 20 and 24 say, "A man's steps are Yah. How then can a man understand his own way?" So none of us understands what's going on in our life and why it's going on, but it does have a purpose. In Genesis, when the Most High made time, he said it for, when he made the lights, he made them for times and signs and wonders. So everything, when he created the first 6 days, when he made time, there was also creation, right? So now in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, he let you know, when I made that time in the first 6 days, it wasn't just that day that I made it. Therefore, it's a time for everything up under the sun. So just because we don't know what's going on in our life, people was meant to be our oppression as well during this oppression. And we are meant to be other people's oppression. It ain't just people oppressing us, we oppressing people, everybody is oppressing each other. So this is something that the Most High devised for us to have to go through during this time. So he's not waiting on us. Even the one who creates time, everybody is waiting on that person. Time is waiting on the Most High. The Most High is not waiting on time.
Right.
That's why everything that's happening is happening on the Most High's time. It's not just happening by the chance of time, and time called it to happen because it did. It's doing according to what the Most High said. So we all got to go through what we got to go through, no matter what. So some might want you to stand up and talk when they see something going wrong, but the Most High said there's a time to talk, there's a time to be silent. So you might want us to talk for you on your time, but the Most High don't have us talk on His time. You feel me? That's how everything goes, period. That's just for me, you, whoever. You know what I'm saying? So that's why things is happening to us, because the Most High already chose a time for it to happen, because it's also a time that we're going to get blessed for everything that we went through during that time of oppression. Praise God.
Hallelujah. Definitely are in a time of oppression right now, and it's definitely out of our control. And I can definitely agree that we do oppress each other heavily. What we get from that, I'm not sure, but it's definitely something that we do. And it's the spirit, that comes on us and say, okay, this is how you should act, or this is what you're supposed to do. And we get confused sometimes. Like, I wouldn't expect this from this person, or I wouldn't think that this person would be this way, but that is
They might
kind
not
of
know why
far
they acting
fetched.
that way.
Exactly. They may not know.
They
And
don't
it's
know
something
they
that
don't
comes
know
on
their
experience,
status.
and we all will find out in later days. That's for sure. So I'm going to continue on here in Ecclesiastes, the 5th chapter, and the 9th verse. And it reads, "Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with an increase. This is also vanity. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes?" That's interesting. When the food increase, the people that's eating the food gonna increase. And what good is it having all this stuff if you don't do nothing with it, you just sit and save it just to look at it? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth the son, and there is nothing in his hand. As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came, and shall take nothing of his labor which he may carry away in his hand. This is the same thing that Brother Keliah said to us earlier. We came here naked, we're going to go back out the same way with nothing. It's what are we going to do with the time while we're here? And as this also is a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit hath he that hath labored for the wind? All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath with his sickness. Behold, that which I have seen it is good and comely for one to eat and drink, and to enjoy the good of all the labor that he hath taken under the sun all the days of his life, which Yah hath given him, for it is his portion. Every man also to whom Yah hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion and rejoice in his labor, this is a gift of Yah. For he shall not much remember the days of his life, because Yah answered him in the joy of his heart. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is cometh among men. A man to whom Elohim hath given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanteth nothing for his soul of all that he desireth, yet Yah giveth him not power to eat thereof, but a stranger eateth it. This is vanity, and it is an evil disease. We're gonna pause here. This is deep. Because you got the riches, you got the wealth, but you don't get to eat it all. When you the owner of this multi-billion-dollar business, how much of that money do you really get to make? You gotta think about the team that you have that's even making this be possible, that you gotta pay to help keep all of this stuff going. You gotta think about all of the resources that you gotta pay into to keep it going. You gotta think about the taxes on the building, the electricity, the water. You gotta pay all your workers. You gotta pay insurance. How much are you really getting after you've paid out all of this? Your company is probably worth $1 million, but you don't get that much at all. Let's pause here and turn to Psalms, the 17th chapter. And I'm just going to read the 14th verse. And it reads, From men which are thy hand, O Yah, from men of the world which have their portion in this life, in whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. When we talked about this, and how you're obtaining what you're obtaining while you're here, and how your focus is supposed to be on what you get, how you should give glory to Yahweh for obtaining it, and how you should use whatever these things are that you get to give glory to Yah and to thank Yah, and how your focus shouldn't be on when you die, what you're going to do with it, but how you should try to have something for your children after you are gone. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes 6, verse 3. If a man begot 100 children and lived many years, so that the days of his years be many, and his soul be not filled with good, and also that he may have no burial, I say that an untimely birth is better than he. For he cometh in with vanity, and departed in darkness, and his name shall be covered with darkness. Moreover, he hath not seen the sun, nor known anything. This hath more rest than the other. Yea, though he lived 1,000 years twice, told yet hath he seen no good. Do not all go to one place? And we talked about this a little bit earlier as well. We have the desire to obtain this, the desire to obtain that, but once it's all over, what's next? We all going to the same place. We all have desires for a lot of the same things, but what is the reason behind it? We have to start thinking about the things that we're praying to Yahweh for and why we want it. And think about why he may give it or may not give it to us. Because what is the desires of our heart? Why are we asking for this? What do we plan on doing with this once we have it? Is it for wicked? Is it for vain purposes? We talked about how one that had 700 wives and the responsibility that takes. You ask for, why do you need 700 wives? What are you going to do with that? Now again, a person may have their reasons. They may get whatever it is that they're getting from it. But how is this truly beneficial? What type of peace are you going to have with 1,000 wives? Because this one is annoying already. And you got 700 of them? What kind of peace do you really have? It sounds like you're being vexed 24/7. You poor thing. But this is what you asked for, right? This is what you want. This is what you're praying for. Now again, Yahweh will give us the desires of our hearts, but we got to think about what are we going to do with this.
You have to be careful what you
You definitely got to be careful for what you pray for. And I appreciate the brother saying how the man is supposed to manage, but my goodness, what kind of corporation do you have where you can manage 700 wives? And how many children? I don't even want to count the children. I don't want to count the calf. I don't want to count none of the other stuff. But I just think about the one that's here. And then you got, it's just women. It's women to think about the type of responsibility that you have to have for all the things that you ask for. We ask for these children, they're a lot. We ask for these jobs, they're a lot. We ask for all these other responsibilities, and it's a lot. We ask for all of this stuff just to cry to Yahweh and be like, man, Yahweh, what am I going to do with this? But we ask for it. So again, if the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and keep his commandments, how much of these things do we really need? Do you really need all 700 wives?
They pulled this hard away.
I'm sure. How can you even think about Yahweh when you got all of these women asking for all of these things from you? And you can't not give it to them because it's your job as a husband to provide for all of these people. It's really, when I read this book of Ecclesiastes this morning, it really put my mind at a state of being humble. Just thinking about all of the things that I'm constantly asking for. Constantly asking for. And some things that Yahweh even gave to me, I didn't even realize he gave it to me. And some things that he gave to me that I didn't even appreciate, that I wanted just so I can say that I have it, but did nothing with it. And then I'm like, Yahweh, you could have gave this to somebody else that's really going to appreciate it, that's really going to take care of it, because it's just sitting there collecting dust. I got it, now what? We got to start taking these things into consideration and really think about what our true purpose is, and if these things are going to help us to be better for Yah, or if it's going to get us away from Yah. Again, the comment that we made earlier, if Yahweh was to fulfill every desire that you have, are you going to have any more room for Yah? Probably not. Because once you get all that you ask for, then what else do you need? Where is your mind going to be? What is your focus going to be on? What are your desires going to be then? I'm going to read this again. Actually, I'm going to go to verse 7. All the labor of a man is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not filled. For what hath the wise more than the fool? What hath the poor that knoweth to walk before the living? Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the desire. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. That which hath been, is named already, and it is known that it is man. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he. Seeing there be many things that increase vanity, what is a man the better? For who knoweth what is good for man in this life, in the days of vain life, which he spendeth as a shadow? For who can tell a man what shall be after him under the sun? A good name is better than a precious ointment, and the day of the death than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. I have to think about that one. Why would it be better to go to a funeral than go to a wedding? Why would it be better to go to a funeral than to go to a party? Why? It was humbling to think like, oh man, so many other things you would want to do than to want to just sit and just be with people that are sad and that are in good moods. But again, it's the ending of all man. It's humbling, very, very, very humbling to even be in support of the people that lost. To even cry with the people because you feel for them, that empathy. That's what we need for each other. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear a song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of a fool. This is also vanity. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Let's pause there and go to Exodus, the 23rd chapter. And I'm only going to read on through the rest of 7. And then that's going to conclude my lesson for today. Exodus, the 23rd chapter. I'm just going to read the 8th verse. Because here it says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So here in Exodus 23, verse 8, it says, and thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise, and perverteth the words of the righteous. Now, that, I had to think about that a little bit, on how could a gift how could a gift be bad? How could I be blinded by a gift? Well, you have to think about in the time, in the context here, of when someone has done something wrong to you and they give you a gift. Now, it's your birthday, so you deserve a gift, or is this, I did something wrong to you and I don't want you to know that I did something wrong to you, or because I did something wrong to you, here is this, to make you feel better. Your judgment is definitely going to be clouded after you get this gift, because whereas you are supposed to make a different decision with this person or from this situation, now because you have this gift, now you're second guessing and saying, well, maybe what they did isn't so bad. Now, again, I'm going to keep saying that the whole duty of man is to fear Yah and to keep his commandments. So in the midst of doing this, when people are trying to shower you with things to try to cloud your judgment, is it going to be beneficial to just have a gift to forget about what they did? No, it's not good to hold grudges, but the gift shouldn't just settle all. Let's continue on, verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in the spirit is better than the proud in the spirit. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Say not thou, what is the cause of the former days were better than these? For thou doest not inquire wisely concerning this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and by it there is profit to them that see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Consider the work of Elohim, for who can make that straight which have made crooked? In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. Yah also have set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perishes, and the righteous, and there is a wicked man that prolonged his life in wickedness. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? Is it good that thou shouldest take hold of this? Yea, also from this withdraw not thy hand, for he that fear Yah should come forth of them all. Wisdom strengthens the wise more than 10 mighty men which are in a city. For there is not a good man just upon the earth, that doeth good and sinneth not. Also take no heed unto the words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others. All this have I proved by wisdom. I said, I will rise, but it was far from me. That which is far off and exceeded deep, who can find out? Who can find it out? I applied my heart to know, and to search, and to seek out wisdom, and the reason of things, and to know wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yah shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Behold, this have I found, said the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account. Which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. Lo, this only have I found, that Elohim hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now, again, this story goes all the way to chapter 12 and going back and forth about the things that you ask for, the things that you desire, and what you plan on doing with them, and how it all ends up turning into vanity and vexation. But we read in Ecclesiastes 12, again, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yah and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For Yah shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Hallelujah. Now this does conclude my lesson. If we have any questions or comments or testimonies, I would love to take those now before we adjourn. Questions, comments, testimonies, how Yahweh blessed you this week, what he saved you from this week, what you avoided this week, some things that you learned this week. Again, these things are beneficial for all of us to help us get through this upcoming week. Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
I just want to thank the Most High for another week, getting through work, getting through traffic. We know at the end of the day, it's His will, and His will be done. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That traffic is something, isn't it? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago and how it creates a patient person to deal with traffic.
Yes.
You have to learn some new things to deal with when you're sitting in traffic. You gotta learn some new ways. You gotta create some new habits when you're bumper to bumper, and you gotta be there in 5 minutes, but you're still 20 minutes away. What you gonna do? Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. I would like to thank the Almighty for replenishing my spirit and just allowing me to seek peace in my life. And I could tell that I'm growing because of the different situations that the Almighty put me in. My reaction to the situations let me know that I'm growing. Like last night, someone had broke into my car and took my wallet. The good news is I really didn't have anything in there besides my socials, my kids' socials, and our medical card. That's bad, but they took all my debit cards that don't work, that was already expired, and apparently they was of course looking for money, but I didn't have none in my car. So instead of like being upset, cursing them out, I'm just like, you know what, Almighty, just please relax my spirit to where I can feel at ease, because right now my spirit is at unease because somebody took from me, and just repay them to their face as they deserve. I didn't say, oh, they gonna get it. The Almighty gonna repay them to their face. I hope that. I didn't go all out like that. And then as the day went on, I had actually went on Facebook and I was like, to the person who stole my wallet, can you put some money in there? I'm pretty sure my identification isn't worth anything. I already tried it. So I kind of made light of the situation. Had that had been me a year ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, I would have been cursing that person to the death. I would still be angry to this day. Even though it just happened yesterday morning, I discovered it yesterday morning. I would still be upset. I would still be angry. I'll be going around knocking on people's doors. Where's my wallet? I know, and it was sentimental things that was in my wallet that valued to me more, which I'm upset that I lost. But at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, a loss is a loss. Those things meant, have sentimental value to me, but at least they didn't take the things that I really need, which was my money, which was my debit card, which was my ID. It just so happened that I already had those things on me when they went into my car. So I just thank the Almighty for giving me a change of heart and for having me realize the growth that I'm going through, because anytime you're in a bad situation, you want to automatically curse that person out. But by withholding, cursing somebody out, that's growth right there. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That's definitely growth, because we always want to pop off, don't we? It always seems like the right thing to do. I'm just going to pop off, but it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't help anything. When you give things to Yahweh and you say, Yahweh, you know what's best. You know what to do with it. He take care of it every time. Do we have any other testimonies or any other comments before we adjourn?
Praise y'all.
Hallelujah.
I just want to thank y'all for not making me a heathen or a Gentile. For not making me an ant. Any of those things outside of Israel. Thank you for not making us our ancestors. Thank you for not making us the people to come after us, but making us this generation right here. Because he chose this generation to bring in peace. Out of all that time of evil throughout the earth, he thought of us and somebody to raise us up out of, thought about somebody to raise up out of our tribulation,
yes,
and to deliver us up out of this captivity, and we get to be the ones who see peace from the first day it happened and forever, because it ain't gonna never end. Praise the mighty God.
Hallelujah. I'm glad not to be an ant too. Hallelujah. If we have no more comments, let us all stand and face the east.
Good job, sister.
Praise Yahweh. Yahweh, we want to thank you for bringing us here to enjoy another one of your Shabbats. We ask that everyone was able to take in some information and grow and have a peaceful week and get us back here safely next week. We thank you for our life. We thank you for our health. We thank you for our elders and for our youth. And Yahweh, we ask that you continue to be with us and keep us. Shema,
Shema.
Yisrael,
Yisrael.
Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Eloheinu,
Eloheinu.
Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Aka.
Akra.
Hear, O Israel, Yahweh
Elohim,
Yahweh is one. May Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. May Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Also, may the name of the mighty Yah be on each and every one of us. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous all the time.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.